It's April 16th and we're in the garden. I wanted to give you a tour. Often you see these videos and you're like, I don't know where he's standing in relation to the garden. So let me show you from the entrance, also the exit, but whatever. So follow me through the gate. So we come in, we've talked about the terraces and how we slow, spread, and sink water across the landscape. But here's the top terrace. So we'll descend down the hill and we'll see what's up. Look at these strawberry beds. So these are strawberries and asparagus immediately right as you come through the door, and that takes care of this like top bed, more of like a less intensive area, and everybody loves strawberries. Over here we have some beds, and this is all like designed through like companion planting, permaculture, water harvesting, and then like square foot gardening, just on a very broad scale. So we can have all these plants planted at like the right proportions, and it keeps down on the weeding that we have to do. There's no such thing as weeds, just indicators of like soil content, moisture, and history. But for intents and purposes, weeds are plants that we don't want to be growing. So we've got broccoli, we've got celery, we've got some eggplants that are going to go here in the greenhouse. They're nothing there yet. But over on top of these berms, we've talked about like growing ability for green material that we can use to mulch stuff. I'll show you how we did that in a second. But we've got some like herbs growing. This is oregano, smells great. We've got some beautiful flowers so that as you drive by, every edge has like flowers, and that's good for the bees over here. It's really growing green biomass that we can cut, chop and drop, and use to mulch things, like I'll show you down here later. In past videos, you've seen how we've done the wheat harvest. Did you see me fall down the hill almost? But this is wheat. So we're growing this as a cover crop. Also, we'll be able to harvest it. So it's green material, conditioning the soil, giving us bread, giving us pizza, giving us pasta. We've also got peas growing in here, which is a nitrogen fixing plant. So we're adding some nitrogen from the air and the surrounding, we're condensing it near the plants that we want to grow. Then when we cut the peas, it gives like a more bountiful harvest without having to do like fossil fuel inputs. As we move down the terraces, we've done some spinach in this bed. We've done some radishes in this bed. We're probably going to come back and finish tilling these rows and add some stuff later in the season. But right now, as we descend down a further terrace, gator here, the way we designed this area so that the gator can access everything. We bring plants out here, bring the harvest out, but we've got like big gates and a road down. I'll show that. But the guys are out here chopping and dropping, taking this green biomass from the berm, and they're mulching. So we talked about square foot gardening at the top of the hill, and we've got green manure mulching that cuts down on the weeds. Those two together should really eliminate a lot of the weed pressure that we'll have. We've got mulch in these paths, and all these beds are on contour. We've got broccoli in this top bed, cabbages here, lettuce here, artichokes here, more broccoli here, and this is just a bed. And then you can see the wildflowers on the back berm. That's a good example. Hey, Mr. Sid. That's a good example of how we use wildflowers on the terraces. What we're working on right now is this tomato bed behind us. You see we're laying out the beds on mostly contour again, and the guys are chopping and moving that biomass so it'll look just like the beds I showed you behind me. And that'll keep down weed pressure, and then ultimately we'll stake these tomatoes up so they have something to grow and keep the tomatoes off the ground. That makes the produce really nice. Yeah, well, tomato beds here, a couple different varieties. We'll probably do we've got some more artichokes out here. We might do eggplants. We've got a lot of things to come out of the garden, but we're really running out of space. So we'll see how that. We've planted some fruit trees. Here's a goji berry that'll climb up over this thing, this like hoop trellis, and then the pathway down there. But I really wanted to show you the progression of these beds over here. Another fruit tree, very exciting. Rosemary or lavender over there. Got more strawberries here. Because water flows downhill, we made like this part that I'm walking on here that's covered in wildflowers. This is like a raised dam portion. So it'll slow the water, spread it out, and sink it into the landscape. But as you see down a step here, these are like finger beds. You know, there's lots of plants that want to be grown up out of the water. In this case, you know, the strawberries. But it allows, with a heavy rain, all these channels fill up like finger ponds, and it allows for that water to spread and sink and soak into the landscape. So then as we go downhill, we have more like larger on contour beds again. and this can start up doing what we were doing on the larger side. But just because the slope of the land it's much smaller, we can't terrace it as effectively, though it is terraced. This will be a hedgerow of blueberries, and you can see they're doing really well. They got a lot of leaf action going on. These small ones are coming back. Blueberries. Who doesn't love blueberries? I love blueberries. Blueberry yogurt. The next bed down, we spent a lot of time to put. When this could be like a microgreens, I really do a lot of lettuce. I enjoy it. So we have another lettuce bed here. And then down here further, we have more onions. So this is, red and white onions mixed together. Very exciting. But you can see the contours, like there's clear contours that allow water to spread out. If this was just a hillside sloping, sloping heavy, the water would pick up all the topsoil and send it downhill. And we've worked really hard to build that over time. So that's why we contour, that's why we flatten these beds out. And it's easier to work with mechanical, whether it be a broad fork or a tiller. This is a mulch bed, and that's what it looks like anyway. But what's growing on top of it is wildflowers. All these little things going. It's like the Virginia wildflower mix. And when they get a little bit taller, I'll be able to tell you what they are. But right now, it's just wildflowers. Also, what we have underneath the mulch is asparagus. From every angle that you're looking in, we want to have wildflowers. Stepping down another terrace. This is the main road that comes through, and that allows us to bring like trucks full of mulch, like at my left. It allows us to get in and out with the larger equipment. Ultimately, this road will all be mulch as we continue to dump it and move it to spread it out to make paths and stuff. But this is the accessibility lane, so we can bring tractors and whatever else we want. Stepping down one more terrace, now we have an area that's more like broad acres. In the past, you've had tomatoes and peppers in this area, but this year it'll be like corn and squash and beans, pumpkins, watermelons, stuff like that. And actually, if you look back up here, I shouldn't have walked past this, but there's like fine daffodils, and it looks really nice. We've got green material that's used for chop and drop, and that's a pretty cool thing. And I'm not going to walk you down there, but we have another terrace that we're still, so we started intensively gardening up at the top of the hill, and this is like less worked area. So the bed down there is just cover cropped, so that in time it'll be a better bed. The soil will have changed through like biodynamic farming methods. Before I let you go, I want to show you a small food forest example that we have in this market garden. Now, the forest handles itself through fertilization, and one of the ways that pioneer species take over fields is by using locust trees. This is something that in the area you should be really familiar with. But the locust tree is just like the peas we talked about in the wheat and peas up there. So if we chop the sides, we're releasing nitrogen from the tree, and we're fertilizing the plants that we want to grow. In this case, we've got a lot of Jerusalem artichoke. If you look through there, it'll like pop out to you. Also some berry bushes towards the back. But this is a little bit of a food forest example. Why did we do this here? It's because we had these locust trees volunteering. And we could, of course, dig them out with the mini excavator, or we could show you how to get them out naturally. And what we do is we just, every year, we come back through and we cut off all the little limbs. And that is enough to diminish the roots, but not send the signal to the plant that there needs to put off more shoots. Because if you just cut this down, you're gonna coppice more trees, and they take over. That's the way that they take over. That's the way that their progression is from moving from the forest to the landscape. These fall down on their own in nature, but only after you have taller canopy trees that block the shade, and so that's why they're called a pioneer species. This is the spring garden progression. Still a lot more to go, and check back for the summer. I'm just really proud of what we're doing. SustainableHomestead.com.